Hey guys, this is the weekly wrap for week 42 from the 13th of October until the 19th of October. In this series, I want to look back at the previous week at all the news that impacted our stocks and the market in general. So let's start by a quick explanation of the table we'll be using. On the left-hand side, you see the names of the different stocks that I own along with their ticker symbol. Then the daily returns of that week, Monday to Friday, the return of that week in total, the year-to-date return, so comparing the closing price of the last Friday to the closing price of January 1st of that year. And then finally, the return that I've made on these stocks, taking the average purchasing price that I have for the stocks and comparing it to the latest closing price on Friday. And finally, at the bottom of the table, you will see an unweighted average of these stocks. So as if I had $100 invested in every one of these positions. An S&P 500 overview of the same figures and the same figures for the Nasdaq. So let's start with some news that impacted the general market. There's no trade deal yet between the US and China, and there is ongoing back and forth between Trump and Xi that impacts the markets quite heavily. So in week 41, the week before this week, on the Friday, things heated up a lot. The market was down about 3%. And on the Monday of this week, week 42, we got some reassuring words from Trump saying that things were going to be all right, and the market responded immediately. On that same day, on Monday, JP Morgan came out with a really interesting report saying that they were going to do about 1.5 trillion in lending over the coming decade in the US, focusing on four key areas. I won't go through all of them, but the thing to me that's really reassuring is that there's a lot of overlap with the different companies I own. Think about critical materials in terms of American battery technology company, battery storage, Tesla, energy, OKLO, AI. There's a lot of overlap with PLTR and Samsara and Tesla as well. Heavily into quantum computing. I have a basket of quantum stocks that I'm following. I haven't invested too heavily in, but I want to make sure that I'm well positioned in time for that to hit. So overall, good to see that they're really going in fully on those different topics and that they're aligned with what I'm looking at. And then finally, Steve Eisman, so one of the guys that saw the great financial crisis coming, the banking crisis. Really a banking expert, and I basically follow him in his podcast, the Steve Eisman Playbook, because I hope that he will, once he sees a crisis coming, he will give signals and we can all just position ourselves correctly. So he analyzed the first numbers that were coming in for the banks in Q3, and he's, as far as he sees, they're in a normal cycle right now. There are signs of credit deterioration on the commercial side, but not enough to cause a recession or to indicate that one is about to occur. So overall positive news on that front. And you see that the market over the week is up about 2%. So moving to stock specific news, American battery technology company, one of my favorite stocks. I just uploaded a deep dive into the company, so do have a look. They had a crazy week. They were already on a really nice upward trajectory. And then on Monday, they published the fact that they've handed in 21 studies they had to do to develop their lithium field. Not crazy news, I would say. They did their homework, basically. Nothing more than that, but the stock went up almost 40%. And then on Wednesday, the negative news came that one of the grants from the Department of Energy that they got to develop this lithium field was cancelled. And the company is fighting it, and they will continue to develop the field, even if they need to get other sources of funding. But of course, that was negative news. And then on Thursday, they reported their pre-feasibility study for that lithium field, showing that the net present value of that mine, so all the cash flows that they would get out of this lithium field, was about $2.6 billion, which is a really big amount for a company that's valued today at around 500 million, depending on the day you look, because it's quite volatile. So that's quite a positive bit of news. But overall, the stock was down 28% for the week. And so next, AMPX Technologies, an interesting battery producer. So specifically producing lightweight, really quick to recharge batteries. They've been doing great so far. Year to date, they're up about 200%. I'm up about 500% since I bought in. So they came out with the news of a deal that they did with Empirical Systems Aerospace for their drones using the Amprius SiCore battery platform. So that will generate some more revenue for Amprius. So that's good. Then ACHR Aviation, so that's an eVTOL company, electrical vertical takeoff and landing. So those are basically planes that take off like a helicopter and then fly like a plane, and they're electric and specifically will be interesting within cities. So they announced that they will be acquiring the patent portfolio of Lilium, a company that was focused basically in the same segment in Germany, but that couldn't raise more funding to continue their operations. So they went bankrupt. So let's see what type of interesting inputs this will give to ACHR's developments. So moving on to OKLO, a company that makes small modular reactors. They are very popular, up about more than 400% so far this year. Basically because of the intense energy need of AI data centers, and what they can offer is parking their modular reactor next to these data centers to supply energy. So that's why they're really on a tear. And they announced an interesting collaboration with Nucleo, a French company, and Blikkala, I probably pronounced that incorrectly, a Swedish company, to invest in fabrication and manufacturing of nuclear fuels in the US. So from what I understand, OKLO will basically run these operations, Nucleo will invest in it, and Blikkala will purchase the outputs of this effort. So all in all, good to see good investment in this supply chain. Then on PLTR, so they announced a partnership with Snowflake. They already work together with Snowflake's AI data cloud, where they integrate PLTR to make use of the data that's in there. But now the integration will be much more seamless for customers, and they can offer it directly. So two mega parties working together, and I think, as you probably know, PLTR has been up quite a lot recently because they're one of the biggest real-world AI players, so implementing AI in regular companies. And then on Tesla, a lot of publication around the upcoming shareholder meeting on November 6th. So the big proposal that people will be voting on is on the performance package for Elon. Basically, he will get awarded shares if he manages to grow the market capitalization of the company in different steps. And so the total package is unlocked when the market capitalization reaches 8.5 trillion, which is a massive increase from the current around 1 trillion that's valuated at. So I think that's overall a good thing for shareholders and for the company, and it will allow Elon to have a bigger ownership of the company and more voting rights, so that he can steer the company more closely, which I think is a good thing for the company. So I hope the vote goes through. So then moving on to Quantum Corner. So these are a bunch of stocks I'm following because I want to sort of position myself for the possibility of a quantum computing innovation coming up in the next couple of years. People have different opinions about how many years or decades it will take for that to come to fruition. But so starting with D-Wave, so they announced together with IONQ the participation and founding of Q Alliance, which is a joint initiative in Italy of all places, where they want to create the most powerful quantum hub. So they'll be working together in that. It will be interesting to see what comes out of that. And then on Wednesday, they signed a deal with Swiss Quantum Technology for about 10 million euros to put their Advantage 2 annealing quantum system in at the disposal of this company, and the company will use it for about 50%. So I assume that they will let other companies make use of the excess capacity, the other 50%. D-Wave is one of the guys, because of their quantum annealing technology, and we'll go into that in a future video maybe, that can already basically deploy their technology to customers, and so it's already commercial, as opposed to gate models, which are a bit further away from commercialization. Then on Monday, IONQ was very proud to announce a significant advancement in quantum chemistry simulations. I couldn't explain the details of that to you to save my life, but so let's assume that it's a good thing for them. They did have a pretty rough week overall, down about 10% for the week. So that's the summary of week 42. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know in the comments, and see you next week.